Is this a tribute or something? No, it's just Ozzy, I think.
Oh, Jesus, that bass line. Oh, who the hell is this? They're not Ozzy. There's nothing worse than a fake Ozzy Osbourne impersonator. Oh my God. I mean, that is bad. You can't do Ozzy. You can't, no one can be Ozzy. So why is a guy trying to, the lights in the wind? I mean, it sounds terrible. 5 seconds and I changed that. Unbelievable. Is that some like tribute to Ozzy Osbourne? I mean, damn, that must have been a death sentence to be handed that assignment of singing No More Tears by Ozzy Osbourne. Holy shit. Guy sounded like he was trying to strangle his neighbor's cat while taking a shit. Like, that was unbelievable. It just shows how singular and how amazing Ozzy Osbourne really is and was as a vocalist. My God, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know why we started the show with that rant, but that's how we do things here at LSUODYSSEY.com, where we like to do things off kilter. We like to do things that maybe you're not expecting. Sometimes you think, oh, I'm expecting a live show. You get an article, and then you also get a live show. Sometimes you're expecting a video, and you get a video, and then you get an article. We really do what we think feels right for each different project or each different thing that happens. Like, okay, that, but usually things require both. And almost always we're talking about both, and we're writing and talking about all of these things. We're not just gonna do a video and that's gonna be it. We are also doing an article, we're doing an in-depth, we're doing pieces of the whole thing as one, and giving it a dimensionality, giving it a way to be absorbed by anybody. Not just, you don't have to be a part of some intelligentsia, you don't have to be a part of the insiders or whatever. You don't have to be a part of some secret club. Really, that's why I made the subscriptions to LSU Odyssey, is basically just, you're someone who supports what I do, and you want to help me be able to get from point A to point B. Basically, you want me to be able to go cover you know spring camp, fall camp, games, hopefully. And we've been able to do that a few times, which has been incredible. USC against Georgia in the SEC title game. There was another I'm trying to think of, but oh yes, we were going to go to the Florida game, but then something really crazy happened that I can't get into, but canceled the trip, and it was really unavoidable, something I could not avoid. And if I were to explain it to you, if I were to, you would understand, but it involves my kids, and so I just don't want to. I don't want to talk about that. Don't want to go into that. Keep that part private. But it's really, the subscription isn't to get into some secret club at LSUOdyssey.com. It's to help us grow, help us be able to go to these things and cover these things. That's really what it's about. And so we've always been upfront about that part. There's us at the USC game, right there on the field after, and I knew I'd witnessed something crazy, being, like 2-3 feet away from Brian Kelly as he slams his hand down. But guess what? He wasn't the closest. I wasn't the closest person, and Wilson Alexander, both of us were the only two who dared to be on the front row. It was a pretty empty press conference, surprisingly. Most went into the USC press conference, but then the LSU mainstays were there, of course. But Michael Cobble was having issues with his microphone or something, and so he was up there holding the mic away from Brian Kelly, like, you know, off to the side. He was trying to duck and everything, and he was in this horrific looking position. Looked so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know how the dude held this pose for this long. It looked like he had to be like in agony. But the dude's literally holding it so Kelly can talk into the microphone for WBRZ that Cobble works for. And so Cobble's right there while, you know, Kelly's doing that. And then out of nowhere, Kelly goes, "I am so angry," and pounds the thing. And, you know, it really shook people up, and including Cobble's kind of like, whoa, like, you know, his microphone shook again. It was almost a comedic situation there. It was crazy. It was wild. You can see the heat, the effects of the heat on me as I just barely had gotten in there and set up. You can see kind of the effects of the heat. Like, whew, well, Vegas was pretty. The weather was absolutely raunchy, nasty. Early September, last days of August, like brutal heat, and a desert heat. So, you know, you could see that upon her face right there. But that's kind of what more the subscription thing is for. Help us get from point A to point B, and that's what will be for foreseeable, you know, for the future if that continues, so that you can help us get to spring, hopefully, get to fall camp, hopefully, and, you know, we can cover this as much as we can. If you can't do that, that's fine. The sharing that you guys have done, all of that has been incredible. The support, the absolute backing during this time when, you know, LSU Odyssey wasn't, we weren't really quite given really the time. Sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. We weren't really given the dues that I felt we were due for some of these stories that I think had other people broken some of these stories. They're getting a lot more love for it. They're getting awards for this shit. But you guys backing us, you know, people like LSU Football Report, people like Drunk Blake Baker, people like Christian Cowley, Lloyd, Jamer, of course. We always bring up Jamer. Alexandra Mariah, CBD, my man Colby. There's so many. Shy Texas LSU fan is just an absolute dude. This guy is a great guy. This dude has been absolutely in the foxhole with us throughout a lot of the stuff. Logan Graffia, badass dude who, you know, had his own troubles and trials and tribulations, but has come out on the other side of it. And so you've seen people like AP start this podcast and this career just the last few months, you know, and it's cool to see him at his beginning stages. And then the Go Team guys who've been doing this for a long time, it's great to see them emerge and get to, you know, have big guests like Braden Fajoko or Blake Ruffino, two guys who many LSU fans probably want to see in a boxing ring together against each other. Both got those two heavy hitter guests on their show. So, like, you know, you have this growth. God, the glare from the window. Sorry. I'm trying to get in a position where that won't be so terrible. You see that from a lot of these guys, a lot of growth, a lot of things building on an independent level. And at the same time, you know, like I think you know, as much as there has been an indictment of establishment, corporate media, so to speak, I think when you actually talk to a lot of these media people individually as to um, why the Nussmeier thing happened, and a lot of it is being lied to by sources, which is exactly what we told you that happened with us. The difference is that we kept going, and a lot of people were kind of like, "We're not going to touch that. We're not going to come near that," like. And then there's a few people I know who really, banked on sources that really don't lie to them, and really they trusted, but they lied to them out of nowhere about this Nussmeier thing because it was so touchy. I think maybe some of these people didn't truly know, or maybe they pretended they knew what was going on. Not meaning the media, but meaning the sources. And so I think you go through each. I don't really think there was much of a conspiracy of like cover up for Brian Kelly. Ooh, yeah, let's keep Kelly around. I think maybe one or two were doing that. I think you know who those people are, but I think most of the media was actually trying to figure this out. Would have loved to have been able to break this story, but were either misled or had Kelly, even Brian Kelly, lie to their face and kind of get after him too. You saw multiple esteemed journalists and writers say like, "Hey, Kelly, what's going on here?" Whether that was Jacques or whether that was Shay Dixon, say like, "Hey, this doesn't seem right," and then kind of get shouted down from the podium by Kelly. So like, I get it. I've been in those rooms where people ask tough questions, or even I've asked a tough question. I've only been able to ask a couple in the press conferences that I've been to. Um, Usually, I'm not getting picked on, even though I'm like raising my hand. I'm not going to get picked. Um, but the times we've been able to ask some questions, especially on the teleconferences too, you can sense that there was always this kind of like being berated by Brian Kelly that was going on. So I don't think there was some conspiracy by local and national media covering LSU to like protect Kelly at all costs. I think a few people who maybe used Kelly as a source and were cool with Kelly were doing that for sure, right? That's always going to happen. But I think the vast majority were just completely misled on this situation. And I think even some of the main subjects of this story were completely misled. I think there's a good chance maybe Brian Kelly's the only one who really knew what the hell was why the hell they were really doing this, as well as what the full extent. Some of the medical people knew the full extent of the injuries, but only Brian Kelly or maybe Garrett Nussmeier can tell you why you would do this. And the easy answer is because Garrett was the best option available, right? And Garrett's a gamer. And that's something I said was, even when there was reports that he had a torn ACL, which was from an erroneous account, a completely erroneous account. I know who is behind that account, by the way. And it's kind of weird, but they put that out there to kind of just muddy the waters. All right? Because they knew what was coming. And so they put that out there to muddy the waters for our report, which is why people like Blake Ruffino then said, "Hey, you, LSU Odyssey, Lon Phillips, you actually reported that he tore his ACL. You reported that he was carted off." When no, we reported that he had a knee, slip up, a knee injury in the practice. And then a week later, we were able to report again saying, "We just got news that he's got another injury. And this time it's his abdominal." And people did not believe it. And people were shocked. And we've got the receipts. We've got the proof right there in black and white on our site. Well, in purple and gold as well. The background is purple. And you see a lot of these stories where we have been months, weeks ahead of people on this stuff, but then there's no credit, there's no apology afterwards. Just the ass kicking that went with being right too early, and that's kind of just what happens. And I don't really, I'm, I'm not going to take it personally at this point. I've been doing this too long. It's been happening so much. I'm kind of used to it, but I'm going to expose it at every point. Like, you're going to say I'm a liar. You're going to say I'm a this. Here's the exact proof that proves that actually you're wrong. Like, and I'm going to make sure the world knows it, because we will not be like defamed like that. We will not be, have our name kind of trounced on like that. But I really have such good vibes about a lot of people and everything right now. There's been a few things in the works, and then there's a few things that I'm really not sure what's going to be going on with that. It's not, one of these things is not completely in my control, but I'm really excited about what that might be. But I'm absolutely ready for whatever the future has to bring for us, for LSU Odyssey, for whatever, for the future of the Tigers. And it can only be positive. It can only be positive. And when you're looking at this LSU team going into 2026, and you start at the biggest positions that have cost LSU for, the last, basically we could just say the post 2019 era, except for here or there, 2023 offense, 2025 defense, there was a couple units that were really elite. In fact, record breaking, but nowhere near what the LSU level was supposed to be. Maybe we got spoiled with 2019, okay, but then that's the standard now. You know what the standard of greatness is. We all know what it is, and you can feel when it's slipping. And so now you're looking at Lane Kiffin coming into Baton Rouge, season number 1. And there's a ton of hype now because Kiffin has pulled off, an incredible, unbelievable heist of a transfer portal where this dude just, it was total bossaroni time. We literally just we dominated in the paint when you're talking about this portal. We absolutely emasculated opponents in the transfer portal. What LSU did in the portal was nuts. But then what LSU also did through Kiffin and his, illustrious staff, mixed with returning LSU coaches, mainstays like Blake Baker and Corey Raymond, as well as these Ole Miss transplants like Charlie Weiss and Kevin Smith, Joe Cox, George McDonald, his brother, Chris Kiffin, as well, who is Cookie's dad, I believe. This staff together were able to deliver an incredible recruiting class. You lose a head coach. You lose an entire staff almost. And maybe actually drop that. There's so much uncertainty about the staff and what the future of LSU was going to be with the AD, with the president, all this craziness. Scott Woodward being fired. What the hell is going on over there? There's so much insanity, and yet Kiffin comes in and immediately. First visit is Lamar Brown. First visit is go hang out with Lamar Brown, which was reported by Shea Dixon of On3 first, is that Kiffin goes and hangs out with Lamar Brown. Brian Kelly may have gone and, day one visited Emory Jones and Will Campbell and done, Brian Kelly did a bang-up job securing that 2022 class of Will Campbell, Walker Howard, Emory Jones, Harold Perkins, Mason Taylor. He did a great job of like securing those guys, right? Because some of those guys were unbelievable for LSU for the next few years. However, Kelly didn't really develop these guys. You just feel like Lane Kiffin and the staff that we have in place now, hopefully guys who've, this is the first time we've had at least an edge rushing front seven coach returning in Kevin Peoples for like multiple seasons in a while. And this is the first time that you've had some type of stable defensive core as far as a coordinator and his staff for the first time in quite some time in the post 2019 era. You still have another D-line coach, still have another new D-line coach. It's incredible how many D-line coaches LSU have had in the last, decade? It's incredible. I think Coach O and what was the name of the guy? Bill Johnson. Coach O and Bill Johnson. Coach O, who was then turned into the interim head coach halfway during that second year, I think, or third year. I think it was the second year though. He was the only one who returned, and then Bill Johnson returning from 2019 to 2020. Those are the only guys who actually returned. The rest, it was all these names from freaking Andre Carter to who's the guy who went to the NFL? Oh, my brain is failing me right now today. Jamar. That is going to bug me. I got to look his name up right now. Because I'm someone who's been he's with Denver, right? Denver D-line. Jamar Kane. I knew it was Jamar. God damn it. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's taking the Lord's name in vain. I should not say that. My apologies. Jamar Kane. Okay. You had names from Andre Carter to Jamar Kane to, even, Kyle. The fact that Kyle was there. It's incredible how many different defensive line coaches you had. It was crazy. You had 3 in that 2024 season, or was it 2023, where you had Jimmy Lindsay, and he has like some type of health emergency and is out, and you have this just circulation of different D-line coaches there. It was absolutely crazy. You didn't even know if you had a true D-line coach by the end of that season. But I don't know, what do you guys think about the D-line coach? This Lucas. This is a guy who developed some absolute freaks during his time at South Carolina, Sterling Lucas. This is a dude who developed some award winners. I think, these Dylan Stewart, Kyle Kennard, absolute freaks. And then you see what LSU has brought in. Who LSU's brought in on the edges when you're talking about Princewell Umanmielen. Probably saying that name horribly wrong. Jaylen Brown, Jordan Ross, Gabe Relaford coming back. You've got Dominic McKinley through the middle, through the guts of the defense. I really like what I saw from Dominic McKinley in rare snaps last year. Hopefully he can stay healthy and really be able to take over a starting defensive tackle position, but he's going to have some competition there. I still think that's maybe the weaker spot on the defensive line, the interior. But LSU has added so much firepower off the edges. Um, you really got to love what you see from their edge rushing guys, from their absolute freaks off the edge. I mean Prince Will's the #1 edge rusher in the portal class. But not only that, 9 sacks, 13 TFLs, had an interception, just a crazy play that even had Lane Kiffin, who was his coach at Ole Miss, going absolutely crazy. We just put a profile on Prince Will Malin on the site. But you look at these positions, the key positions that have screwed LSU: defensive line, offensive line, the trenches, just the trenches overall. Offensive line, you just have to see it. You have to see it because it's all new outside of Braylon Moore and maybe Weston Davis if he is somehow able to get a starting job, which I definitely would favor Darren Stray, at least being given the opportunity to hopefully win that job over Weston Davis. But you have an offensive line that you just have to see, right? But a defensive line that looks more finesse and more firepower than like a pillar of a great wall of interior strength. Like last year, I think you had a lot better interior bodies than maybe you have this year. But that is yet to be proven. I could be proven completely wrong on that. There's guys I'm forgetting about, like Malik Blockton, who played at Auburn last year, who, I mean, he may be more talented than any guy we had a defensive tackle last year outside of maybe McKinley, and Guillory had a pretty damn good year though. But you do have some guys there, but I think it's more finesse defensive line than firepower than strength, but still very promising. But your linebacker position is incredible. Whit Weeks, Devon Keys led the team in tackles. Daughtery coming over from Ole Miss. The safety position looks really locked down with Cooley. We know what Cooley can do. He's coming back. And you really liked what you saw from Tamarcus Cooley. But Ty Benefield, man, 107 tackles. This guy, I'm not saying he's going to be the next AJ Halsey. I'm not saying he's going to be the next, AJ Halsey shut down, absolutely going to be a monster. You know what I'm saying? But 107 tackles, 8+ TFLs in back-to-back seasons. Racked up the interceptions. I think he was 5 over 2 years, or maybe even 5 in a single season. Racked up the pass breakups. We've got the numbers, I think, maybe still in our. Sorry, guys, we're trying to learn so many of these new guys. So we haven't got it memorized completely just yet, but we will. Don't you worry. Especially if we can quit our job and be able to focus on this 24/7. My God, guys. You have no idea what type of freak, absolute LSU nut job you would have wreaked upon the world. We got Go Tigers 5046 in the chat. What's up, man? Go Tigers indeed, my brother. We'll be showing comments throughout. Yeah, we put up a Ty Benefield profile as well on LSUODYSSEY.com, where we mapped his past history at Boise State, the plays he made, the stats he racked up. The production he put up. When you're talking about, you watch a game and you think that's a TFL, but the guy doesn't get credit for it. Maybe it was just at the line of scrimmage, but it looks like a TFL. So you feel maybe like, hey, this guy was robbed of some TFLs. So you got to think some of these guys are robbed of a few stats here and there, right? And yet he had outrageous scary freaking production. It makes me think like he doesn't even have to be AJ Halsey. If he's just production that LSU can put out there, even battling for snaps against Deshaun Spears, even maybe they share snaps. If that's what is deemed necessary or what will bring out the best in this defense, because Deshaun Spears has to play. We know that much. You feel so good about what you've got at corner as long as they stay healthy with DJ Pickett. PJ Woodland looks damn good. Jakeem Jackson. You have some guys there that look awesome. And I'm not even talking about Fahim Delane, too, another transfer pulled out of Ohio State. If that name is familiar, Fahim Delane, it's because he is the younger brother of Mansour Delane, who should have won the Thorpe Award for LSU this last season. So I think it's in the family when you're talking about a dude who his brother goes to LSU, almost wins the Thorpe. He goes to Ohio State. He's a safety, though, not a corner. At least that's what he's listed as. We'll see what he turns out to be, where they play him come spring. Because we also saw that Mansour Delane, remember, there was times where in spring he was played at safety. And you had some analysts saying he's a better safety than a corner, which is, I think, just ridiculous statement to make. And I said it then. We wrote a profile on Mansour Delane then saying he's going to be our next shutdown corner. And my God, was he. The dude proved it from the first week to the last. I'm not trying to say I told you so, but damn it, the proof is there right there on LSUODYSSEY.com. Just look up Mansour Delane 2025 profile. It's there. The date is there. I rest my case. But you look position to position. The trenches, there's some concerns. Offensive line, you got to see it. Interior defensive line questions. Love the firepower off the edge. Whit Weeks at linebacker, returning. All these weapons on defense. All these guys who are security blankets on defense. Guys who we know can produce on defense. Offensively, from the quarterback position, when you're talking about Sam Levitt,
Michigan State transfer has delivered again.
And what Sam Levitt can do.
Right on target to Jordan Tyson.
I hate that did that with the volume, because I do not want to get another copyright strike for no reason. But I thought I recorded it with the volume off. It still tried to do that with the volume on, because the narration is what gets you the copyright. And I just we're not getting another copyright strike, because then this channel will get removed. And we've gotten over 1,000 subscribers finally. We're not going to do that, because we might even get one for just doing that. But Sam Levitt, what he can do at the quarterback position and what he did at Arizona State, okay? Just think of what he can do in a Lane Kiffin offense. Oh, my God. You're talking about looking at the receivers we have, too. The yards after catch that guys like Trey Wilson, Jackson Harris, Jace Brown, Trey Brown, the way these guys can absolutely work the middle of the field. There is a lot of talent there at receiver. A lot of upgrades. Winston Watkins, my God. Dude we brought over from Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss. I always seem to have this weird dramatic pause before I say it, like Kiffin's Ole Miss. It's weird, but it's like Death Wish Part 3 or something. This hoodie's making me look like a fat ass. I don't want you to think I have boobs. God, I am kind of fat. Am I fat? I don't know if I'm fat. Maybe I'm getting kind of porky. Maybe that's kind of more the reality. Maybe. Sorry, guys, it's cold here. Maybe it's just my dad bod era. You think? You think it's just my dad bod era? How do you like my Ariel Pink shirt? Ariel Pink, one of the greatest. I mean, this guy's music is incredible. Dude's music is incredible. Ariel Pink is one of the great songwriters of our time. If you've never heard Ariel Pink, Ariel Pink, check him out and listen to Round and Round on some headphones. Listen to Beverly Kills on some headphones. Listen to Getting High in the Morning on some headphones. Strange Fires. God, I could go on and on. There's so many. Not Enough Violence. There's so many great songs from this guy. Dazed in Daydreams. That's like a Grammy award-winning song that should be like in another world. That's a Grammy-winning song. I used to dream away, hide in the dark, day after day. I mean, holy shit. I used to pray, but now I scream. What a line. What a line. And because of his weird political thing that I think is kind of an act more than anything, he's kind of been shunned from kind of been canceled, sadly. But you're looking at every main position LSU has, from quarterback, offensive line. You've supplied it with Jordan Seaton. You got some good guys there, from some big schools, not just, but at the same time, guys who've, you look at the snap counts of like a William Satterwhite. You look at the snap counts of a Darren Stray, Devin Harper. They've got some experience, but it's not much, even though they come from some good schools. Okay. This offensive line might be a work in progress. But hopefully, and I don't know if you guys have seen how Sam Levitt can move. I really, really wish we could have gotten that highlight video on here. Because, in fact, I'm going to put it on my TV and just kind of show it in the background for a second. Because there's some movements from Sam Levitt that are absolutely transcendental. They're orgasmic. The way he literally manipulates the space in front of him. The way he manipulates the pressure around him. The way he manipulates and escapes a broken pocket. I mean, it's almost sexual. It's unbelievable what Sam Levitt can do. And his passing game will improve. It's got to improve. But here's the thing. We can dink and dunk and keep it underneath, keep it over the middle. We don't even have to take too many downfield shots with this guy because of the devastation that he can wreak with these legs. Let me show you. Let's see if we can do this without looking fat or getting a copyright. Oh, I mean, here's the thing. Like, he just throws great bullets too. Like, he's just got a bulleted arm too. Like the way that he can do. Okay, see, like those are going to be gimme routes in this offense, and should have been gimme routes with Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback the last few years, but we never called them with our receiving core, which is a huge misuse. But look at that. Okay, look at that. I'm going to try and do a little Carter the Power impersonation, even though I'm nowhere near as cool or as smart or know my X's and O's as much as he does. We're gonna do a little Carter Power impersonation here. Look at this here. Okay. He can smell the pressure coming. He's got some options, but he knows what he's going to do already. He has already made up his mind. Sam Levitt, right there. He's surveying the situation. He knows what he's got. He's 3rd and 9. He sees that gap right through here. He's only got to beat this guy who might be occupied by this guy, or he might get dragged over here. Either way, it's going to be 1v1, or this guy's going to kind of wake up, break off his route, and block this guy's ass once Levitt breaks out here. But you're going to watch that Levitt, no hesitation, knows what he's going to do, makes the decision quick. And that's the thing you want to see from a quarterback, quick decision-making. Watch this. Let's rewind it a bit again, okay? Let's show the play again. Shoom. Makes that move, and then look at that. Look at that. He turns that guy into a rag doll. That is little cutie. I mean, he literally embarrasses this guy. Look at this guy. This is the curse. This is the fall of the white linebacker right here. This is the fall of white linebackers can't tackle. Not white men can't jump. This is the movie White Linebackers Can't Tackle. I mean, man, you're come on. What? Woo! And that is what Sam Levitt does. He forces defenses to think. He forces Mike linebackers to get out of position, get out of their feet. They don't know what the hell's going on. And then look at how tough he is. And it's 3rd and 9, gets the first down. He gets the hell up, even though his feet get taken out, his cleats get knocked out, juking and jiving, taking hits, getting walloped and getting right up, going about his business and carving that team up. And oh man, I mean, just the way, oh my God, this is poetry right here. Watch how he literally lets this guy, he moves this guy into this block. Like, watch this. You see that coming, and he runs 2 guys into each other. He runs 2 opponents into each other by this move. He senses this coming. He sees these 2 edges, moves up in the pocket, but he doesn't just go flying up into the pocket. He kind of like squats like he's going to take a shit standing up in the forest. And then just bullets. His body just bullets the blue sky. And he just runs those 2 right into each other, releases a perfect pass out to the flat. This guy gets gone, makes another move, and he gets into the end zone. That is a touchdown scoring play. That is a touchdown scoring play. That is not just a screw around Sue instead of run around Sue, a screw around Sue. This is a literal touchdown king-making play. That is copyright ESPN College Football, Fox Sports 1. We do not own any of that material. That is from our television. Anyone else could have done the same thing, so it would be unfair for us to receive a strike. This is under the Fair Use Act of 1976, where educational purposes or analysis, we just educated, we just analyzed. So hopefully we're clear on that. You're loaded at receiver. You're upgraded at receiver. Tight end, Trades Green is going to be awesome. We don't know what we're going to get out of Zach Grace. He comes from Oregon, though. Once again, you're getting guys who've been desired, committed, have played for big schools. Not just like, I hate to say it, but Brian Kelly would fill up rosters sometimes with just bodies. He would just fill up. I mean, he wouldn't really. It just felt like he was telling people to just get anyone sometimes, And it feels like Lane Kiffin and his staff have made a very educated, smart, no gamble kind of. They've made their way through this with each guy they've signed, where they've made sure they've done their due diligence, made sure they're getting the right guy for the spot. It doesn't matter if they're from Elon University, wherever that is, or, if they're from Wisconsin or Utah or Ohio State or his former team, Ole Miss, or another former team of his, USC with Houston Longstreet. I absolutely love the trolling from Lane Kiffin, but also the purposeful trolling. So you've got weapons on this team. You've got guys that are veteran leaders on this roster. You've got guys that can make plays on this offense. They can add to the firepower of this offense. Jace Brown. This receiving core, I can't remember who originally put out this stat, so I don't want to. But this is not my original stat. But I can't remember who put out the original stat. I will give credit to them when I can figure that out. But this is not my original stat. But the average of all these receivers in the receiving core for LSU is like 12. It's like over 12 yards. And most of these guys are 14 plus yards. These guys are big playmaking machines. And there's a big chance with Sam Leavitt recovering from that Liz Frank that he can really trust these weapons on the outside and be a distributor through the first few games of the season, get to the midpoint of the season, and then you can start being more run heavy in the offense. We might be able to do that with this receiving core. That's how good this receiving core is you might be able to win a few games against Clemson, against a couple teams, Ole Miss maybe, without having to run Leavitt too much as he recovers from this Liz Frank. You do not want him picking up another ankle issue in those first few games. If that happens, the whole season could be, and you don't want to see that again. So you got to take care of Sam Leavitt. You got to preserve him. And he's only going to be doing 7-on-7 in spring. That's fantastic. That means that he's ahead of schedule in a way, recovery wise, but also that they're not going to just rush him back in for some ceremonial purpose. He's actually going to participate with the team and be around the whole thing. He's not just going to be off somewhere smoking a bong and, fucking around. He's going to be part of the team. From the quarterback position with Sam Leavitt, you've got a guy who could win a Heisman. You got a guy who could be the best dual threat quarterback in the country. And that's in a season with Trinidad Chambliss coming back. In a season with Trinidad Chambliss coming back, you could still have the better dual threat quarterback being Sam Leavitt. That's for real. The Ryan Bowen, what's up, man? How are you doing, Ryan? He writes to us, I think the D-line coach opens up a talented pipeline they haven't tapped into since Sam Montgomery. Sam Montgomery was damn good. But we've had D-line, we've had great defensive line players since then, man. B.J. Ojolari, Mason Smith was a damn good talent. I know he didn't completely fulfill everything, but that was just because of injury. Still was a second-round pick. You've had Mekhi Wingo was the only All-American though since I think 2019 at least that I know of. Arden Key was also since Sam Montgomery, and Arden Key, even though he's from Georgia. So I don't know if you're meaning from Louisiana specifically, but the pipeline or whatever, meaning in regards to Sam Montgomery, who was fantastic. But we've had great defensive linemen since then. Arden Key is our all-time leading sacker for a single season, with either 12.5 or 13.5, one or the other. And he was, 2017 when he did that, years after. So we've had some damn good defensive line players. It's just having a collective that's been good. Having a collective, having depth, having differing profiles, having strength on the interior, push on the interior, penetration on the interior. But then on the outside, you have finesse. You have a multitude of guys you can call upon, like, the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse or something like that. The Metallica song, that Four Horsemen. It's like, this is a rock and roll team here, guys. This is a team that's on the cusp of greatness. Because if you look at everywhere from receiver to quarterback to safety to linebacker to corner to running back, I mean, I love the running back room as well. And my guy AP, definitely subscribe to his show Timeouts and Tangents. He was constantly saying, like, this running back room is freaking stacked, and he was correct. It's a very impressive running back. I mean, this is a team. You don't quite know what you're going to get offensive line wise, right? That's one worry, but you know it can't be worse than what we saw last year. It can't get any worse than what we saw last year. So where is the ceiling for this team in 2026? Where's the floor? That's such an interesting question to me, because, like, that could mean so many different things. This should be a playoff team when you're looking at the roster on paper. But as we know what happened last year, and the unthinkable injuries and the complete changes of reality that can happen, things can really get crazy, man. And things don't always end up the way you expect. And so I want to caution everybody on saying, like, hey, we're for sure a shoe-in to the college football playoff. I think that's just not, let's don't go that far. But let's be honest, this is a team that should, with the investment that's been made, with the belief that is there, with the improved and upgraded roster that's been cultivated, with, the major fan interest, the major fan backing, the backing from the donors, the alignment in the building. It feels like there's buy-in from the players. It feels like there's enthusiasm, there's excitement when you're getting the number one quarterback in the country, when you're getting the number one offensive lineman in the country, when you're signing the number one edge rusher in the country, when you're, securing the number one high school defensive lineman and number one overall player in the country at the same time, when you're securing multiple 5-stars across all these positions, when you're securing big time players and then depth players who are really going to be great for LSU, who are really going to take this team over the top, make this team a potential contender, the contender it should be. Those are going to be the guys who are going to be there scoring the touchdowns, making the big plays just as much as the star guys. And that's how it is in a Kiffin offense. The ball gets spread around, but the big players do get fed, though. And that's the thing that I'm really thinking that is so exciting about this team, is that the best players are going to get fed the football. It's not going to be this weird, why didn't Aaron Anderson get the ball again? Why didn't this guy get another carry? Why didn't, it's none of those questions. In Lane Kiffin offenses, usually the guy is just getting fed nonstop. And it's like, that's how it should be done. Is like the best players get the damn ball. I think LSU are on the cusp of greatness here. I think LSU are on the cusp of something big. I think this is a complete. I think this is an almost complete squad. I think you still needed that, big time guard, and you still needed that big time defensive tackle for me to feel, 100% like this is a team that should be like in the Final Four, that type of thing. But even without that, it doesn't mean that those guys can't emerge still, and that I'm just unaware of who these guys are right now. And so I want to point out all these players that might be new names for you guys, but I mean, there's so many new names, and there's so many names that sound the same. There's, Trey Brown, Trey Wilson, Jaylen Brown, Jordan Ross, Eugene. I mean, there's so many names that sound the same. It's crazy. Jace Brown, Jaylen Brown. Trey Brown. There's even a Trey Brown on the team as well. Like, my God. It's crazy how many different guys have the same name on this roster. Or have names that are just barely different, and so it's all like, oh my God, this is all Scowampus. But I feel like this is a roster that really, you look at the whole complete picture. I don't know how you can get away with saying that this team shouldn't be in an SEC championship game for the first time since 2022. Why this team shouldn't be at the pinnacle of college football, even in Lane Kiffin's first season. Of course, it all hinges on the offensive line. But here's the one caveat to all of that. Well, actually, I should say the Lagniappe. Sam Levitt's legs. If Sam Levitt can get his legs going, if he can deliver on the ground with his legs, if we can see the same type of movement and rushing power that we saw, the vision, escapability that we saw at Arizona State, in that, he took them on a college football playoff run, guys. They almost beat Texas in overtime, double overtime. Like, if you can see that same type of Sam Levitt, and he's of course going to be a better player, smarter player now, and with all the resources that LSU has to help in his development, it's really exciting to be an LSU fan right now, because there is a lot to be excited about. Sam Levitt has 2 years of eligibility as well. You have a 2-year shot with this dude too. I mean, it's not just like he might, he can only do it in one. You've got him for 2 seasons, right? Am I wrong about that? Let me look that up. I swear 2023 was his first season in school. And that was a redshirt season at Michigan State. Yep. But 2023, yep, for only 4 games, redshirt season, Michigan State. So redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore. He is a redshirt junior. So yes, Sam Levitt does have multiple years of eligibility, redshirt junior. So, okay. You have a 2-year shot with this kid as well. Like, this is incredible. What you could really be getting yourself into here with. You also have Huson Longstreet, who could be, getting ready to be that next quarterback for LSU, that kind of project of the future. And he's already on the team. He's already on the roster. And he seems committed to that plan, which would be basically 1, maybe even 2 years on the bench. I mean, damn, guys. Every time I look at the roster, I'm just stunned by the wealth of riches that this team has. The absolute just I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to me. Sorry, it was important to look to check my phone real quick with all that. I'm excited about the future for LSU. However, I gotta be honest, I'm not excited for the future of the world. There's been some crazy shit going on this weekend, guys. And I think now more than ever, we need sports as a refuge. Those of us who, I have strong political feelings on a couple issues. Outside of that, I don't really care about politics. And I think that's probably the same way for about 90% of Americans. There's a few things that they care about, and really that's the hill they die on. Other than that, they don't really care. And this covering LSU, covering the sports, sometimes these worlds cross over, right? The governor being involved with stuff like that in the coaching search. And I get that. But when mass war is going on and stuff like that, and it's a scary time. It's a time that makes you really wonder what the hell is going on and who's really in charge here. I want to be in my platform. I hate that word. That word sounds so freaking liberal. But my my sites, my YouTube channel, I want it to be a refuge from the political madness, because we're not even being told the full truth anyway by either side. So, and a lot of these new podcasts, these political podcasters, they used to be kind of free media, the political podcasters. Now the political podcasters, you can tell a lot of them are paid off by certain sides of the aisle. So like, it's not a lot of people you can trust trying to even delve into those issues. So it's kind of sadly a weird time. Feels like a helpless time politically. And so I want what we do to be a refuge from that type of crap. A place where you can come and talk football and escape kind of the woes of the world, whether that's personal, whether that's political, whether that's global, whether that's local. That's what we want to do. And that means even like, maybe I want to go on a rant about this or that or this or that. I can calm that down for your guys' sake, because I know that you guys need the peace away from the storm, the calm away from the storm. And so LSU Odyssey, whenever we're doing shows, whenever we've got interviews with people, whenever we're doing a podcast, whenever we're writing things, we try and keep that in mind, and we try and make it as apolitical as we possibly can. Sometimes there's things that are just not, if say like, a governor is found, a Republican governor is found with like a naked woman and on LSU campus, and he's crashed into a building or whatever. Like, are you not going to report it because he's a Republican, or if he's a Democrat, you're not going to report it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a dumb example, but like, we don't really care about your politics or whatever. We're just going to call it as we see it and report it as we go, like, and I'm very excited for the future outside of the crazy wars, the endless freaking wars, man. It felt like we just barely stopped this stuff, and here we are. More killing, more wars, more Americans dead, more dead people. I'm really kind of sick of it, I hate to say it, but I'm just no, sorry, I'm not going to make any apologies. this is about human beings being killed. I'm so sick of seeing it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm stunned by what's going on. And so this is a refuge for me too, to be able to talk with you guys about LSU and to be able to discuss what I'm excited about for this season, which should be an incredible season for LSU football. This should be a season where, you finally see an offense that it can actually click. You finally see an offense that's aggressive, that's pedal to the metal, that actually takes advantage and makes every defender cover every blade of grass. You've seen a defense that's improved, that's become kick-ass, but we've seen Blake Baker's track record. He just improves every single year, every place he's been. So just think of what the defense can be this year if we only allowed, 19.3 or whatever it was points per game. Imagine the improvement from that, and then a massive improvement offensively. We can do the math. That's an improvement of from 8 wins. So maybe like 3 win improvement. So I'm very excited about what this team can be. But at the same time, trenches. We got to see it on the offensive line. Trenches. We got to see a strong D-line interior. I want to see certain guys rise up there. There's a name on the defensive line interior that I'm going to keep to myself because he's kind of going under the radar. No one's talking about this dude, and I think he could be a starter for our defensive line. I think he could be a starter for our defensive tackle spots. Maybe, I think he'd probably be, judging from this guy's film, I think he'd be perfect alongside Dominic McKinley. But we'll be putting out a profile on that guy in the next, should be out by tomorrow morning. But I won't make any promises because I want to make sure this one is perfect. So it could take a bit longer than that since we make our own deadlines here. But I think I should have enough time to get that finished by tonight. But, hopefully we can make that happen. But either way, we will be sharing that name with you very soon because it's a defensive tackle that when we got this transfer, no one really celebrated or anything. And I remember being like, yes. Because he was a player I knew of. And it was like, he's a player I've talked to before, and I've had a prior somewhat of a relationship with. And so I also knew he was very good and very under the radar. And maybe a lot of people wouldn't understand that for a while. And so I'm like, hell yeah. And I'm like, bro, you're a Tiger. And he was like, I know, I'm so freaking excited. Because LSU overlooked him a few years before. And so he's honored to be a Tiger, and I can't wait to write the profile on this guy. Paul Tarver, my brother. This is a guy I should have mentioned in the beginning. Is Paul? You're always watching our stuff. You, like Louis Corona, you guys are always watching our stuff and always giving us love and support, and we cannot thank you enough. And guess what? I have a feeling some big things are about to happen. And so I think you should buckle up, my friend. There's a few things that we've got in the works, as well as a thing that we don't know really what's coming with that, but we're open to whatever that might be. But Paul Tarver says, Lon, we appreciate escaping into all things LSU, especially football. Helps keep my sanity in check. That's the thing, man, is I wanted to kind of go on a rant there, but I just wanted to say I'm anti-death. I'm anti-murder. I'm anti-war. Proudly. Very proudly. I'm the son of a veteran. My dad fought in the worst war possible, Vietnam. I mean, what a terrible place to fight. Constantly wet, constantly humid, like beyond measure in Southeast Asia. And then in sudden, like, oh my God, man. Hellish place. You thought you could be relaxing somewhere, and then that's when they would get you killed. That's when they would kill you. Like, it was just an incredibly psychologically horrible war. And so I have seen, and I think my family's actually paid the personal cost of the war, considering my dad had to fight cancer, which he is never a smoker. So he got that from Agent Orange, and they were able to prove that. They were able to prove that unequivocally that he got cancer through the Agent Orange that was in, they dropped the Agent Orange in the napalm to wipe out all the trees so the Viet Cong, the North Vietnamese army, couldn't hide amongst the trees. They would wipe those things out. Sometimes they dropped that on their own people. Of course, that was always covered up. But even if you went into the area afterwards, that shit is seeping in everywhere. My dad was lucky to be able to fight off that cancer and remained cancer free to this day. But a lot of other veterans were not so lucky. But that was a hellish war. And the idea of another 10 to 20 year war of young kids dying in the desert for another foreign country's interests, not our own interests, is almost too hard to stomach. It's almost too hard to take. But, this is my platform, so I'll say whatever the hell I want on it. And so that's all we're going to say about it. But I also want to respect my audience and understand that this is a refuge and a place where we will keep the politics out, but stuff like death, murder, of course, I hope you're all anti-murder. But everybody, I just want to say we love you. We're very feel blessed, feel grateful, feel a lot of really good vibes and good feelings towards life, just because I feel like a lot of the truth of what we've done has now been seen. And that was important to me, because when you have your reputation being throttled from all sides, it feels like only you are able to make sure that doesn't happen. That narrative isn't painted. But thankfully, I've had people who have been willing to go to bat for me, defend me, and really have my back. And some of these people you would not expect have been doing that behind the scenes, but they have. And one of them knows exactly who they are, because I talked to them on the phone the other day, and I want to say thank you to them for doing that for us. And there's other people who constantly are really digging in and giving us a lot of support and kind of showing hey, look at that. He broke that a few months ago, and then they said this, and then they gave him no credit, and then they shit on him, and then and then they say, oh, and then he whines about wanting credit, and it's I think anyone would if their hard work is being robbed straight from them, or everyone says you're a liar for reporting it, and then when it becomes truth and everyone steals it but gives you no credit, even though they damn well know that they called you a liar and tried to destroy your reputation, and then you try and say where's the credit? It's how dare you ask for credit, you just want credit. It's no, I want fucking respect. Respect me as a fucking human being. Respect me as a fucking reporter, because I damn well have proven my credentials. And I'm not just talking about the things someone gives you, the access someone gives you. I'm talking about the actual credentials, the actual track record of being a damn good reporter. And I think we've been able to do that. We haven't always succeeded. We've made our mistakes. We've made some embarrassing mistakes. But we just keep rolling, and we just keep rolling with the punches. And or as REO Speedwagon would say, roll with the changes. With the changes. Yeah. Every song is about how my wife cheated on me. Back in 81. REO Speedwagon. Riding the storm out. Riding the storm. in the Rocky Mountain in the Sorry, that's my REO Speedwagon. In a Rocky Mountain. You do not want to hear my Styx impersonation. You do not want to hear my Styx impression. We saw a few people leave after I did that, and I understand why you would leave. Anyway, we're having too much fun with this show, getting crazy with this show. Ultimate freedom, ultimate madness. But we've, I think, done an interesting 10,000 feet breakdown of this roster, of this team, of what the squad could become, and it's a great staff leading the way too. It's a complete package, and I'm very interested to see what this team can become throughout this offseason, how good they can look throughout the offseason, how much, what we will see throughout the offseason. Maybe some of the changes that will be made throughout the offseason, maybe some of the position changes even. And then, of course, kickoff against Clemson at home in the real Death Valley. And we'll see what this team is made of. And I'm really excited. Sorry, guys, I don't think I'm speaking really well on this show because I'm worried about someone who might be listening, because I think they're listening every word intently, and I feel like they're judging my performance and that type of thing. So maybe I'm not doing my best for that reason. But regardless, this has been awesome. Thank you guys for watching. I see that there is a bunch of you guys on the LSUODYSSEY.com site. Sadly, we're not able to broadcast onto Twitter because of the Twitter suspension. It's retarded. The Twitter, I shouldn't say that word. The Twitter that was suspended erroneously has a premium subscription, right? So it wouldn't let me cancel that subscription until after it took my money for another month, until March 22nd. So we can't order a new premium subscription with our new Twitter right now, because it says you're already subscribed. So it's unbelievable how stupid this thing is, and what a robbery that was from Elon with that. Come on, X, don't do that type of stuff. You're already a zillionaire, man. Come on. It's just classless, I say. Go Tigers 5046 says, "You good, man. Keep going." I love it. Thank you, dude. Well, I think we might be doing a late night edition of LSU Odyssey, where if you don't catch us in the late night when we go live, I love that you're going to be able to watch or listen to the show on your way to work the next day. And guess what? We try and make those shows as in your face, balls to the wall as we possibly can, because we want you to catch that fire in that moment. Live in that cocoon with us. It's a vestibule of power that we can create together. It's something that we want to just keep exploring and experimenting and getting really as far out there as possible, while remaining tethered to the ground, while remaining an LSU sports coverage entity, but also really exploring all this space up in the clouds. If you want to really see the kind of space up in the clouds stuff, you definitely want to check out our Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas article Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas or Fear and Loathing in Week 1, something like that, from last year, or 2 years ago, from the USC trip. It was before the USC trip, and it was a fictional take on what would happen to me during the trip, and it involved me being murdered by like a group of LSU media folks and local Las Vegas media folks. Like, this is our turf, and like murdering me. And some of the names are involved in there. Actually, we call Mike Scarborough like Mitch Scarfollow or something like that. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, we weren't trying to hide anything or be like rude or be like mean or snarky. We were just trying to have fun and make a bunch of kind of funny parodies of characters, parodies of people, like that's all it is. It's nothing like make fun of you, you're stupid. Like, no, it was all in fun. We're not mean-spirited when we do these things. That's the thing you got to understand about me. Even if you're not face to face with me, we don't do these things in a mean-spirited way, ever. Even if we're going to troll somebody even people who've literally come after us, try to destroy us, we've been able to repair things with them. Even people who maybe have talked shit on us before, unfollowed us, blocked us, talked shit on us, somehow we become friends in the future, interestingly enough. It's funny how that goes when people actually listen to each other and actually close out all the noise and the stupid influences and the bullshit and the fakery. When people actually understand me, usually they like me. When people aren't willing to understand me, aren't capable of understanding me, or aren't ready, then they're usually like, fuck this guy. And I okay, that's fine. Maybe I'm like too dumbed down for them or too sophisticated. Either one. It's either one, depending on their intellect or whatever. But I just try and be something that everyone can like. That you don't have to be a genius to be into. You don't have to be an X's and O's football god to like this show. You don't have to know what a giant formation is to watch our show or to read our articles. You don't have to know what even a slot receiver is. I want female fans to be able to say, like, I like LSU Odyssey because they don't exclude us. And we never have excluded women from our stuff. And in fact, our greatest subscribers, some of our longest, most loyal subscribers are people like Jamer. Nurse Court has been a subscriber for years, as well as just a supporter and friend. Many of these women, Peggy, so many of these women, these super fans, Sarah Johnson, have really had our backs through thick and thin. Aunt Tassie is amazing. I love that woman, Aunt Tassie. Alexandra Mariah with her podcast. You saw her on our show just a few weeks ago. She's awesome. She's full of just absolute energy and powerhouse brutality, ready to kick ass as a female in the LSU podcast world. We want the female smoke in our fan base, in our followship. We want to start something special with everybody. We don't care what you are, who you are, where you're coming from, what you believe in. We want you all in here. If you're a Tiger, you're one of us. Let's go. Let's effing go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm about, is starting a fucking revolution. Let's go, motherfuckers. Let's go. Go Tigers, everybody. I love you. Have a happy Sunday. I think we're so fired up we might do a late night edition, which will also be an early morning drive to work edition for you. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Go Tigers.